We are recording. Hello, YouTube channel. My name is Regina Marks, your host, and welcome to Regina's Corner. We have another exciting session here and an interview, and I'm so excited to have Miriam with me today. She is going to introduce herself, let you know where she's from, let you know what she's studying to become, and also just anything else she wants to share with us. So we're excited. Please go ahead and call somebody, let somebody know Regina's Corner is on today, and we're having another good, exciting time on Regina's Corner. Welcome, Miriam. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam Adisa. I'm a third-year medical student at Marian University. I'm currently completing my pediatrics rotation in South Bend.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's very exciting for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I grew up right here in Indiana, Northwest Indiana to be exact. Now my parents live in Crown Point, and I'm here in Indy for school.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I am an immigrant. Some would say I don't count because I did come here when I was about 1.5 years.
You do count. And I know YouTube channel is saying you do count. You do count.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I got my citizenship when I was in high school.
Awesome.
My parents really were on top of that because I mean, I didn't really understand the importance of having a citizenship.
Yeah.
Especially with recent political events. So yeah, just here to share a bit about my story and some of the valleys and troughs that I've gone through to get to where I am today.
Awesome. Now, Miriam, excuse me, I'm sorry. Where are you originally from, your origin, your culture?
Oh, right. I'm from Nigeria. So
awesome.
I was born in Kano.
Oh, awesome.
Northern Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm from the Yoruba tribe, so Mogbo Yoruba. I speak Yoruba.
Awesome.
Yeah, language has been a really big part of my upbringing. So my dad's from a bit of a lineage of sheikhs. So a sheikh is basically a Muslim religious leader.
Mm-hmm.
So a big part of the Muslim faith is the language of Arabic. So
yeah.
علمت العربي شوي as well. I speak a little bit of Arabic.
Wow.
Man, my dad used to sit us down on the weekends. I grew up in the country, lived across the street from a soybean farm that would alternate with corn. Shout out to, agriculture that you just pick up from living in Indiana.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have picked that up. I was born here.
Yeah, because Indy, now I live at the in an actual city, in an apartment, and there's going by. I didn't even live in a neighborhood. We had Colorado Street is maybe several miles long. The block that I lived on had 4 houses on it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
So yeah, it was very real.
Yeah.
We had some proximity to Chicago, so that really helped. I think that kept us a little bit more connected with a larger Nigerian community to an extent. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I have a question. Do you still make sure that, I think you probably said that you're practicing still your language and not letting that go?
Yeah.
Good.
I've been more recently a little bit more intentional about that, but just interacting with my family and in general, we're bouncing between a couple of languages. That's just always how it's been in my house.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, because I'm sure that you never know when you may need to use that out on rotations and when you become a physician.
Yeah. I'm actually working actively towards learning more medical terminology in Spanish, because that's a very
awesome.
important language that's
wow.
come across all the time.
Yeah.
In America in general is just becoming increasingly multicultural, and
that's true.
think it's important to lean into that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I learned Spanish in high school for 4 years, and I think I have a good basic grasp of conversational Spanish.
That's awesome.
But I definitely don't feel confident about medical terminology. So that's
yeah.
learn more about so I could be of help in that particular.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. So we had a chat, and I just knew you were going to talk about, your country. And then when you spoke to the heart, from the heart actually, of what you really wanted to talk about, I thought that was so awesome. So tell us what's on your mind today.
Okay. Um, well, just as a little synopsis, today I want to talk about healing grief through gratitude.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Please take your time because we all need that.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get a little bit more comfortable so I can get what the Lord has for me. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. I do feel a little bit shy talking about this because I am like a little younger, you know. You have so much experience that you've shared with us just throughout the years.
Oh
Um,
wow.
just to put Miss Regina on blast, she was our hype man. Like we
Um,
went in and talked to like specialized patients, and you guys, medical students are a bunch of nerds. Like, like I personally get stressed out like meeting new people and having to speak all the time. And
mhm.
Miss Regina would just come through and be like, you got this, like you already studied for this, like this is what you're here for. And that was like our little taste into like the future, because we're spending like 8, 10, 12 hours a day studying.
Mhm.
Um, so you kind of forget how to interact with people, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
And yeah, Miss Regina just kind of put us at ease and just had
praise
us
God.
like remember who we are and like why we're here and that we're built to do this.
Well, I give God glory for that, and I have a motive because you guys are the future, and I
Thank
just want to make sure that if I see any of you,
you. Good point.
that you got it. I do my daughter the same way. She's a family nurse practitioner. I'm like, hey, we're gonna need you to take care of us one day. So, but really, you guys have a lot to give to me, and you inspire me. You don't know it. You're like gasoline for me to get me moving and get me going, and you inspire me to say, what I need to say to you. It's like God just puts that all together and use you all for me, and then here comes this something coming up out of me. Um, and God just gives me the words to say to you all, because it's some, I walk away knowing that, okay, that was God. Because it's like, if I have to see, it's like, how many's in your class? 178 or 60,
Something like
160,
that. It
something
always
like that.
depends on
And
like
so when you guys are coming through before the pandemic, it's like each class will be different. And I walk away and I know, okay, God, that was you, and wasn't me. But you guys inspire me too. And you touched my heart when you told me um, what you wanted to speak about today. And I know it's going to help a lot of people because we all have past hurts and past pains and memories that begins to invade sometimes, different at different times, different moments. And next thing you know, we could have, this trigger and then we could get either stressed or sometimes depressed or sometimes just overthinking what's going on. I hope I'm using all the choice words. And I had just got through talking about obsessive compulsiveness. And sometimes when that happens, is very natural. Then, next thing you know, just our worlds can just start spinning with emotions. So, what's been going on with you? And I know you mentioned about like when you go to class, and don't worry, I'll catch you. If I feel like, you're thinking, I'll just catch you because we want to hear what's inside of you. So what have you been dealing with, Miriam? Because I didn't know. I had no idea.
Oh, okay. Uh, to put it plain and simple, I'm a third year medical student, but like if things had gone as I originally planned, I would be a fourth year right now. And there's a lot of factors that, kind of culminated that caused me to decide to step back and just take a year off.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned past hurt. One of my biggest past hurts is that I come from a large family. I'm the oldest of 5 living siblings. I'm the oldest of 7 siblings total. And what I mean by that is that I used to have 2 sisters. And now I used to have 3 sisters total. Now I have 1 sister. 2 of my sisters passed away by the time I was 15. Both of them with not similar complications, but from complications of the same disease known as sickle cell.
Mm-hmm.
It's called sickle cell anemia. It's a disease that actually has like an evolutionary basis in sub-Saharan Africa. So just a little bit of biology background, like we're not as human beings, we're not independent of our environments. So different areas of the world just develop different diseases to help them function better. It influences like our skin tone, like how our nose is shaped, like just to, really build off of that synergy, that symbiosis that happens between us and our like environments, which is easy to forget if you live in a city. So that's just some basis. So sickle cell anemia affects like the blood cells. So normally your blood cells are shaped like jelly donuts. So
Yes.
they're like a little disc and they have a little bit of a divot in the center. But if you have sickle cell anemia, it means that some of your cells are shaped normally. So that shape is important. It helps you carry like the maximum amount of oxygen. When you have this disease, you have sickle celled shaped blood cells, meaning they're shaped like the moon when like it's kind of that bitten, like when you take like a big bite out of a cookie. So that space would have been carrying oxygen, but it can't. So it leads to a lot of things. And eventually my sisters did succumb to the illness. One of them, when I was 5 in August of 2000, she just did not wake up one morning. And I was 5 years old. I still remember it like yesterday.
Yeah.
I think I did bury it for a while because I didn't really recognize like just what impact it had on me as a person, and how it like impacted how I interact with the world. Like that's a scary thing, you know. You're just kind of like living your life. You're 5, you know. You don't really care about anything. You just want to play and have fun. But then suddenly, like one of your siblings is gone. Like, so where did she go? Is she coming back, like ever? Is this like a forever thing? Like, is it gonna happen to me? Is it gonna happen to my siblings, my parents, like my friends? Like a lot of that stuff, you just don't have the capacity to process.
Right.
So that happened when I was 5, and then like literally a couple weeks later, I started kindergarten in Indiana. So I mentioned Indiana because the event happened when I lived in South Dakota, which I lived there for a couple of years in my like very early childhood, from my ages like 2 to 5, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was like for employment reasons. Like my family kind of bounced about a bit until we settled in Indiana. So yeah, that happened when I was 5. I started kindergarten. I mean, I think I just didn't really have a lot of, I guess you would say, distractions that a lot of kids these days have.
Yeah.
And honestly, kids, I think since maybe like the early 80s, since like video games and stuff became really popular. Like we didn't have video games in my house. We had one TV. We didn't always have cable. Sometimes we had like network shows. Like, I mean, it's a very set amount of time that they have programming on for kids. So like it's impossible to just like be sitting around just watching TV all day.
Yeah.
Like my dad's like pretty studious. I would just pick up his encyclopedias and like read them for fun because I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
So a lot of my childhood was reading. I was always a great student. I'm really grateful for that. I still love learning. I think that really informs where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my early childhood is really defined by school.
Okay.
When I got to middle school, I started like running track and field. I I favored like the longer races. So I think the shortest race I ever ran was a 400. It was
Oh,
one
wow. Yeah.
around the track. Yeah, it's like a 1 minute, 1.5 minute race max.
Yeah.
So that was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up being like scouted by like my gym teachers to join the cross country team. So
Yeah.
ever since I've been hooked. I'm like, long distance is for me. Like you just kind of get in the zone, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very therapeutic. I think it
Yeah.
honestly really helped me like through those like tumultuous years of growing up and just being like hormonally imbalanced and thinking
Yeah.
it's the end of the world all the time.
Yeah.
And it still helps me to this day. Like I recently got back into running, and I don't know why I ever stopped.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
um yeah, so I guess like the second kind of earth-shattering event of my childhood was when I was 15. It was a Sunday. I believe it was a Sunday morning. Yeah, my dad was at home. And he's actually the one who carried my other younger sister down the stairs one morning. I was making breakfast. I was making some waffles and like, waking everyone up for breakfast, pretty benign event, just like what had happened when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And like my sister just wasn't waking up. So yeah, they like rushed her to the hospital. She got like um airlifted to, I believe, Comer in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
um she never came home alive again. um and yeah, uh there were just really like deep hurts that I think I really buried for a long time until it kind of started just coming up randomly. Like I just would always be sad and I just wouldn't know what was wrong. And um I didn't enjoy being like on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
To put it very frankly,
Yeah.
it's because my brain wasn't like prepared to kind of handle this kind of stuff. And
Right.
um I mean, my parents have always been like very faithful people, very like raised us to be like very God fearing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I commend them for that. I think it's kept me pretty grounded, just growing up in general. Um, but that's kind of where I started butting heads with them a little bit, because when I was in college, I mean, I was still at home. It's not like I was in this new place or just I didn't have like any external reasons to be not feeling well, like that I guess most
Right.
college students would have, like being on your own, like not having financial support. Like nope, I lived at home. Like my parents paid the majority of my bills. I was excelling in school. I was on the pre-med track, and everything was going like as planned. But I just was feeling like vaguely unwell. And It just became like really clear to me that something was wrong. And I like tried to bring it up to my parents, and fair enough, they have a lot of on their plate and everything, but I just got a lot of the, oh, like you're just growing up, and like go pray some more, or like make sure you're saying your prayers. And it's like, I'm coming to you because I've exhausted those things that I've heard all my life, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm still feeling I'm not in a great place. Like something's just not okay here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up like, starting therapy and everything like that.
Good.
And I think it got me at least in the habit of being able to like form that like emotional vocabulary, just
Mm-hmm.
put two and two together.
Yeah.
It's not that, um, it just helps me make a lot more sense of life.
Right. When you can actually, and therapy, there's nothing wrong with therapy, and therapy comes in different ways. And sometimes we can reach for the wrong therapy, like, okay, let me get a big old cake, or do something, or let me spend something that money I shouldn't spend. Everybody's different, or sometimes we can isolate ourselves from, I'm an isolator. So I'll isolate myself from people, and I have to learn how to be able to say, this is going on with me. So therapy is good because you get to bounce back. You get to talk. And I love what you said. In other words, you get to learn this language, this dialogue that you need to have, because it's just locked inside, and if you don't learn how to be able to do this, then it's just locked inside, and and it hurts you, you know? Because I remember when you told me you was going to take a little time off, and I was like, I wonder what's going on. So I just kind of sit and wait, you know, and I could just see it in your eyes. And so I'm so glad that you're learning that, learning how to talk. That's so important, isn't it? To talk to someone you can trust.
Yeah. Yeah, so you bring up a great point. Talking to someone that you can trust. I mean, it takes a minute to build trust with anyone.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm on my third therapist now, and you know, I have a lot of love for, you know, the first two people that I worked with. They kind of gave me like that building block, I guess, of just being in the habit of like sharing what's on my mind and just not feeling ashamed of what's in my head.
Oh, good word. Good word. Not feeling ashamed. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Because trust has to do with that you can talk to someone that you don't feel ashamed. You can, I call it my own word that I made up, unveiling. I can unveil and say, this is where I am. This was going on.
Yeah.
And you don't feel that energy from that person, because what you think, people can feel it. You know, it's just all over, you know, how we talk about you all's body language and everything when you go in to, you know, talk with the patient. And, you know, you can feel all that. It's in the atmosphere, you know, of how you really feel. And then that makes you feel worse if you feel that someone is shaming you or condemning you or putting you down. The next thing you know, you shut down. I do. I shut down like, you're not the one. Bam.
Yeah.
And I just shut it down. And even though I know it's hurting me, I shut it down. Then it makes it more difficult for you to even want to pursue, to still try to find somebody you can talk to, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And that brings
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah. It brings up another good point about, I guess, venting to family. Like, there's always some kind of emotional baggage with family, whether you realize it or not. So that can kind of influence your ability to be truthful.
Yeah.
And then for me specifically, I mean, I grew up like 3,000 miles away from where my parents grew up.
Yeah.
So everything that you might think would be a point of contention between a parent and a child at this stage in my life, I guess, or ever since my teens, to be honest, where you just kind of start forming your own sense of identity and how you plan to stand in the world as a human being. I just feel like it was fundamentally different from how my parents saw it. You know, and again, I have a lot of respect for where they come from, but not everything translates.
No, I get you. I've had to learn a lot. We've had to learn, my husband and I had to learn a lot from our kids. They had to sit us down. Sometimes it was in a group, like a group of them. And because we have 4 kids, and then sometimes individually. And I was glad that they had that dialogue that says, Mom and Dad, you guys are this way and this way and this way. And I had to go, you know, first, I'm going to be honest, this is really good, what we're talking about. And YouTube channel, we didn't plan any of this. I knew what she wanted to talk about because I asked her, because I had no idea. I thought Miriam was going to talk about her country and tell me some things, and we was going to talk about that. And of course, her goals of being a medical student, pursuing becoming a doctor, and what she wanted to practice. And when she called me and said, this is really what I want to talk about, actually, I heard it in her voice. I said, I don't think she wants to talk about this. And so I believe, I'm not sure if my actual words helped me, Miriam, but I said, what do you want to talk about? Because this is your interview. Because I heard something else. So we didn't rehearse this and say, okay, we're going to ask this. So this is so good. And this is good for parents too. If you're open, we had to learn some things to change as parents, because we're coming out, 1, 2, 3, this is the way it is. And so our kids had to say, hey, and we gave them that space. At first I had an attitude. I'm like, I'm a mama, you know, I'm your mother, you know, and then I had to humble myself to hear what they were really saying so that we could be more available for them. So good stuff, Miriam.
Yeah,
help us parents, Lord, help us parents.
Yeah, that humility part, that streak goes both ways. I think it's really easy, like in either position, to feel really just stubborn, honestly.
Yes, on both sides.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. So it is a two-way street. This kids got to know how to say, okay, we explain that to them too. Well, this is where we're coming from. So that's good, Miriam, so that each side can understand and work together better.
Yeah. As soon
Yeah.
as we have a civilized conversation, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of feeling like force will like get your point across. But just especially if you're on the receiving end, and I mean, I just gotta call it like I see it, especially in the Black community, parents like are on a very high pedestal, and like I'm not a parent, so I can't speak to it in its entirety, but I understand why that is. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've invested like your entire being like into like these souls, and they're just around making
And we
them.
don't want you all to make, and we don't do it right. So this is some good talk. We don't do it right, and we know where we've messed up at, and we go about it the wrong way because we don't want our children to make the same mistakes that we did. So not all the time we go about it the right way. And you said it's a two-way street where we have to humble ourselves to parents, listen to your kids, and kids listen to your parents, so that we can meet each other in the middle, to say, I get where you're coming from, mom and dad, or whoever's raising you. And then I said, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. And we're not talking about control. We're talking about understanding and working together for the same goal, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, Miriam, this is good. I didn't know we were going to be going down these avenues.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's just been a lot that's been weighing on my spirit, honestly, and I don't always feel like I can connect with my peers, because especially of these experiences, it kind of like it makes you kind of an automatic old soul. People don't usually lose their peers until they're a lot later in life, and when you've already experienced that like twice, by the time you're not even 20 yet, you just see the world differently. Sometimes it makes it hard for me to be able to relate to, I guess, some of the other concerns of people my age. And yeah, I've been pushing myself to just kind of socialize anyway, because I mean, there is benefit in like connecting with people. Yeah, it like broadens your horizons, and it's just like it's good for your mental health. It just is.
So I'm thinking, you probably saw my eyes going all up. I like to go back to what you said, your challenging moment of interacting with your peers.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean? So you've had these two losses, which are huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had two losses. I lost my parents 3 months apart from one another. So they've been gone for 18 years, but it still feels like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to understand, when you say interact, are you talking about having something to relate with when you're talking to them, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah, especially like after it happened, like, you kind of go to school and talk about what happened on your weekend, and like,
Okay.
this is not something you can bring up so casually. And
Absolutely.
I didn't really have much of an outlet to talk about it anywhere. So I kind of just clammed up. Because it's kind of like I don't want to talk about like how I went to Cold Stone with my friends like last weekend, because it wasn't like my biggest concern at that moment,
Right. You're trying to get through the trauma.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Trying to get through the trauma. And it sounds like you didn't know how to even start it, to say, hey, have you all lost anyone in your life?
Mm-hmm. I didn't even have the wherewithal.
Right. You don't have that.
Yeah.
You don't really think about it, because when it happens, it's just your world. I didn't think about asking somebody, oh, by the way, have you lost 2 parents in 3 months' time? I just was in my own world,
Mm-hmm.
and I was devastated. I
Yeah.
felt like that I was an orphan, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to first of all, I didn't have that word. So I like to identify where I am. I like to have identify. I need a word. And I didn't know what that word was.
Yeah.
I felt like I was floating.
Mm-hmm.
And, I said, well, let me call my mom. I went, I can't call my mom. She's not here anymore. And so I couldn't comprehend that, because I felt like my parents were invincible. And even though I'm a Christian, and I know that not everybody's going to be here forever, but still in my mind, my parents were invincible. They don't die. And I didn't know I felt that way until it happened. I didn't even know that was there inside of me. I didn't know I felt that way, because I knew people die. People die. That wasn't my first time experiencing death. I lost my grandfather. I've lost, just, other deaths in our family. But it was when my parents, like, no, they're not supposed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
They're supposed to live forever. So it took a friend of mine who she said, I'm so sorry for your loss. I heard that I said, yes. I said, I feel like I'm floating. And she said, it's because you feel like an orphan. I said, that's it. And she actually is a counselor, but she lives out of town. And I never spoke to her again after that, because I never saw her again. I don't even know where she is right now, but she happened to be at church one day, and I said that to her, and it was like, and I went on from there going, that's what it is. I felt like they left and I was an orphan. Yeah. So then that was my first beginning process of praying and talking about that to the Lord, and how do I move forward? I think we get into a place when a devastating loss happened, and you were really young to process that. Okay, she's just didn't wake up. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I loved your choice of words, like, is she coming back? Because I think we don't think about children in trauma. And lots of times, Miriam, I don't know what are you going to practice when, what area?
Oh, I'm still deciding.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
It's definitely going to help you no matter where you go, because all of our situations at the time, and I'm going to be real honest with you, you don't know how you're not even thinking about how that's going to help you or help anyone else. You don't even know the help you need yourself, at that time when all of us are in that moment. But you're going into a field where that's going to help you. We don't have enough empathy. People just do their jobs, or whatever capacity they have, whatever that is, doctor, whatever you are, and people just kind of move throughout life. Mm-hmm. And we don't see a lot of real caring for people. And so we need that. And you're going to be able to use that as you're working through, what you need to work through. So I'll go back, because even though I will talk a lot, I still don't forget where I am. So going back to, you didn't feel like you had something to really relate to. But also, another question, did you ever bring it up to any of your peers about your losses?
I did try bringing it up to some friends that I thought like maybe they'd be able to get it. And sometimes it was a hit, like they'd have something that I felt like I had a healing conversation from it. But I found that honestly, the vast majority of the time, they were just as lost as I was. Like,
yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're like, why did I even mention it? You know what I mean? Like, right. Yeah.
Yeah, because, as a kid, like that is kind of just how you navigate. Not even as a kid, like throughout life, that's kind of how you navigate like the little ups and downs. Like you talk to your friends about it, but it doesn't work for this, for that kind of this magnitude of an event, to be honest. So,
right.
So I just kind of buried it, and I think it just started to percolate.
Wake up. It started to wake up.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would start I'd be studying random stuff, and like it would just take me back to like a moment like, oh, like that's what they did with my sister. Like I remember
Wow.
overhearing the doctor talk about this, or my parents talk about this. Like by the time I was 5, I knew what an autopsy was. Like,
Wow.
You just kind of.
You were reliving it.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that before, and I didn't know what was going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at Marion,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a situation that happened, and all of a sudden I started reliving it, and I didn't know how to handle it. It was overwhelming. I found myself just crying uncontrollably, and I didn't know what was going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, until I found out and I thought it was only for military. I was having post-traumatic syndrome, and I didn't know it. One of the doctors had to say, this is what now, when you were in the situation, you weren't feeling it. Now you are.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, wow. So I had to go through these processes.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like that's where you are.
Yeah, I think I can attest to that. I'm actively still in that stage because this past week I watched a couple of endoscopies. So
Yeah.
I was doing my GI rotation within my pediatrics clerkship, and what I didn't know is that for pediatric endoscopies, which is where basically they stick a very long tube with a camera and a flashlight on it down your throat, so they can like visualize everything.
Right.
Like, no, you don't have any like hidden or occult bleeding, as they call it.
Right.
You don't have like a lot of inflammation or just anything that shouldn't be there.
Right.
But for kids, they're not gonna be really chill with you, you know, coming at you with the hose, like, hey, I'm just gonna.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so what they do is they have an anesthesiologist in there. They put the kids to sleep. Whew, man, when I got off work that day, I was in shambles.
Yeah.
Because like at the end of the procedure, you know, me and the GI doc just leave, and like the kids are still kind of groggy. They're not fully awake. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, like, did they ever wake up?
Wow.
And I think you can kind of put 2 and 2 together.
Right. Because of your experience.
Yeah. I was like, what is wrong? And because of like my year of like just becoming a lot more connected with like memory, emotion, being present, living in the past, like being scared about the future.
Right.
Which is, I thought of that. I've dissociated, you know, I've worked myself into like really dangerous places, just, you know, not sleeping, not eating, like that's a disorder. So I've done all the things to kind of escape that and like kind of run away from the pain of like remembering, because like you said, you're reliving that moment, and your brain's not like, hey,
right,
they're gonna be fine. Your brain's like, this happened before, like ding 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 ding, like alarm, like it's a sign, like it's a sign that I'm alive. I'm really grateful for it. It's a sign that my body's like working. She's trying to keep me safe. And that's how I look at it now.
Because our subconscious mind, we put a lot of things in our subconscious mind, and then all of a sudden it comes awake, and we're going to have to process this, and we're going to have to deal with it in a healthy way, or we'll deal with it in an unhealthy way. And thank you for your honesty, because again, I always say, I think people look at people and go, well, you got it together. And so I'm so grateful and thankful for you to say, hey, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, you know, all these things was going on. I was so that there were times where I just couldn't, I didn't go to church. I couldn't make it. And when I would go to church, I would like, okay, I would sit in the car and like, okay, you can make it, you can make it. You know, it's so far to your seat, you can get there, because I was a mess. I was a mess, but I'm grateful for the process though. I'm glad that we're talking about this. I didn't really know it was going to go this way. This is so good. Because everybody needs help, and everybody needs to know it's okay. It's okay. Because if they don't know it's okay and they don't have a safe place to go, this is why we have a lot of things happening to people. And we go, they just took their lives, or now they're alcoholic, or they're into this, or they're into that, or they're doing drugs, or they went into depression and never came out of it. You know, or maybe you're walking around and you are functioning, but you can't keep a job or you can't pay your bills, and people can be negative and talk about you or put you down when really actually there's something going on and that person needs help.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It really teaches you like the extent of how compassion is not an option.
Yeah.
I think just specifically for myself, it's been self-compassion. I don't know, the way my brain works, it really likes to cling to like repeated patterns. And I think again, it's another thing that it helps me like in my day-to-day life, it helps me be more efficient. But again, in some ways it can be unhelpful when you just become so rigid and you just don't give yourself a break and you don't allow yourself to be human or ever make mistakes.
There you go.
It can be counter. So yeah, rules are there to help you keep you safe. But again, if you go to the far end of the extreme, being unbeneficial, they can be harmful. Is what I'm trying to get at, essentially. Yeah. So that's something I've had to like kind of teach myself to embrace a little bit too.
So this is a big step for you to do this interview.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. I know when I looked down and I got the phone call, I was like, oh, hey, I'm just like, wow, this is awesome. So this is actually therapy.
Yeah.
This is good. Therapy for me too. Yeah. You know how I am. I take everything too as well, that's not truthful. I was going to say I take everything as a learning experience. No, I don't. Everything is a learning experience. And sometimes a lot of times I'm late at the game going, oh yeah, that was an experience I should have captivated on it. So I'm glad we're able to say, okay, I need to go back to that.
Yep.
Wow, Miriam. Wow. So you said that you're on your third therapist. How is that going?
I think she's great.
That's awesome.
I think I definitely like trust that she has my best interest at heart.
That's good.
It's important.
It is important.
Yeah.
It is important. God has really established some people around me and we help each other. And so we're just locked and sinkered. And I think you need that. And they're called safe places. Safe place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you get to be you. Yeah. And there's no demands on any expectations. You get to just be you. Like, here I am today. This is what's up.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is honestly the fact that she's a Black woman.
Yep, that's true.
There's small cues that just kind of bring you comfort.
It's true. It is true. It is true. Because another Black person can understand another Black person. It's true.
Yep. And that's been something that I've had to like teach my parents, to be honest. That has influenced my experience since I was a kid in this country in a way that they could never understand because I grew up with basically racial homogeneity, which means that everyone looks the same. And the thing is, that's the same case for a lot of white people in Indiana.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. Now, and I want to put this out here, and it doesn't mean that someone of another culture cannot help you, and I want to say that. However, we do have to be truthful that there are things that only someone in your same culture can understand, because I have a rainbow of friends. So a rainbow. However, there are times when I just got to talk to one of my sisters that is Black like me, that's come through some things. And if I could just use some ebonics or whatever it's called, some stuff like me, has a face like me,
Yeah.
And when I say certain words, she'd be like, "Go, girl, ain't that it?" That's how we be talking back and forth. So sometimes you need that. You definitely need it. If someone was in an Asian culture and they needed to talk about some things that has happened, then I wouldn't be able to understand that. To say, if they started, so it is truth. So it's not a prejudice thing. And I want the YouTube channel to know that. It's just facts. It's just facts. Thank you, Miriam.
Like for an example, it's usually like just cultural stuff that you feel like you need to explain so that your therapist will understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
Like, if I have to explain like what this thing on my head is and like what I wear it for,
right?
It takes away from the therapeutic experience. Like,
right.
You don't go to your doctor, educating them on your illness most of the time. Hopefully they know before you get there.
Right. I have some, right. Only question I need to be asking you is, where does it hurt? How long you've been having this? And right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
I get
it. Just to like make it abundantly clear.
Yes.
Because I do feel for like people who, grow up in their small towns and like all of a sudden there's this influx of like all these weird looking people.
Right.
And the media doesn't help. So I get it. People are actively terrified by the sight of me, and sometimes their faces do not hide it.
Well, Miriam, I think that you're beautiful, and I love culture. I belong to a mixed church, and so I'm used to culture. But even before that, I always believed in culture because my family bloodline is multiracial. So I've always believed in teaching my kids about culture. So I think you know that, I'm always interested in where somebody comes from, and oh wow, really,
Yeah.
So but I get it, but that is true. I've had things said to me just because the color of my skin, and it was rude, or certain questions asked to me. I'm like,
yeah,
did you ask me that because I'm Black? So we have to get real if we want to heal. I didn't even make that up. That we got to get real if you want to heal. Okay, there you go. And it's true. It's so true.
Yeah. You're a poet and you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you have a therapist that you can feel. That almost makes me want to cry because, and I don't mind, I always say this, I don't mind being authentic. That one of the best things and the best feelings in the world is when you can just be you. I love it when I have what I call prayer partners, and they're my circle, and they are from my blood family, as blood family, as well as friends, that I can just be me. Isn't that a wonderful feeling?
It is.
You don't have to feel like, and no one's condemning you for that. That is amazing.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. And I guess that will lead me into like more focused discussion, like in relation to the title, Healing Through Gratitude. So this summer was rough for a couple of reasons, because, or let me say summer of 2019, not 2020. I think we can all attest to what happened.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this past summer. But again, crazy enough, this summer 2020 was not my worst summer. It wasn't. So summer 2019 was when I would have originally started my rotations. But I decided, I think in May, that I was not going to go through with my board exam. So my board exam is necessary. It's like another standardized test, another hoop you have to jump through in order to start clinical rotations. And yeah, I was not in a good place. Like my treatment had been like pretty rocky. I was on medication for depression for a couple of years. I'm really grateful again to say that
yes,
I don't need that particular crutch at this point in my life. And again, I want to be completely transparent about this because there's still a lot of stigma around it. Like, and like a lot of my classmates are on antidepressants too. Like, because I'm so open, I think it really invites people around me to be open as well.
Yes.
And so, to be honest, I know a lot of people's business. I do,
Yeah.
but I'm like, honestly, I'm a safe space. I'm a vault. Like, I'm not going to share your business with anyone.
Right.
So I do want to be clear about that.
Yes.
But yeah, through being open myself, like, I get a lot of openness in return from my classmates, and I know for a fact that a lot of us are medicated,
Yeah.
or were at some point.
Yeah.
Probably will be in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to do what you have to do. That is the truth.
Yeah. So like, your doctors, your future doctors are human too, like,
Absolutely.
we're walking our own paths. And I was in a point in my path where I could not sit for, at a minimum 6 hours a day studying for a 400 question exam.
Yes.
Was not in the place for that. Like,
Right.
I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I could not sleep. I had lost a ton of weight. It was just really obvious to me that I was not in the state to be doing this.
Right.
Life-changing part of my journey. So yeah, I decided to sit it out. It was the hardest decision of my life. Like, you don't get it. Like, I love school. Like, I've been in school since I was 5. I did not take a break. So from 5 to 24, school, this school.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so now I'm in the real world.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
Living at home with my parents anymore. I can't, like, I have an apartment. I have like stuff I have to account for. Like, am I gonna move back home? Am I gonna stay here? How am I gonna afford my rent? Yeah, because most people know, when you're a med student, you're probably not working a full-time job. You most of the time in the United States cannot cover your living expenses and still excel as a student.
Right.
There are some students who, are in that position financially.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I've not been one of those students. But yeah, so yeah, I was living off loans. I'm really grateful again that my parents like instilled really good values about economics. They really, really drilled really hard into me the difference between wants and needs.
Yeah.
So I still maintain that philosophy as of now, and I plan to continue living that way. So anyway, I say that to say I had a little bit of money left over for my loans, so I could like wait out a couple of months and just recover. Because coming off of antidepressants, also, I would like the public to know, is not a fun experience. Antidepressants, I want to be careful when I say this. Okay, they have withdrawal effects. So withdrawal is basically side effects you get from not taking the medication. So I think a lot of people know about side effects. Side effects are the, headache, runny nose. Sometimes it could be fever, it could be hair loss, depending on the strength of the medication.
Okay.
So
what actually are the side effects from antidepressants?
Okay, so some of the ones I've heard the most anecdotally, so just from talking to my friends, is like vertigo. So you just like balance. Yep. There's another one. It's like, they feel like brain zaps. That's the word that I hear a lot. So it feels like you're just getting electrocuted for like a fraction of a second. So those are the big ones I've heard. Just loss of balance, vertigo, fainting. That's kind of a progression from vertigo, because when you lose your balance, you can kind of just boop.
Wow.
Yeah. So that can happen within a day of not taking your medication, if you're on an antidepressant.
Okay.
Yeah. Side effects from taking it, honestly, they're pretty rare. It usually happens with overdose. So if your dose is above the therapeutic range, which is pretty rare, like it's kind of hard to Yeah, most of them are pretty safe, especially if you're getting them from like your PCP, your like
Okay.
general
Mm-hmm.
practitioner. Yeah,
Primary physician. Yeah.
yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
Um,
Or a clinical psychologist or,
mhm,
yeah,
yep,
psychiatric doctor or
mhm,
counselor or therapist
yeah,
that has the,
mhm.
um, what do you call it? Prescription authority.
Yeah, yeah. So for the most part, only nurse practitioners
Mhm.
and psychiatrists have prescription capabilities.
All these noises in the background.
No,
Okay.
oh, I
It's
can't hear
okay.
it.
I'm
You want me
sorry.
to close my window?
No, it's not you. It's at my house. Yeah. I just sent a text.
All right.
I just sent a text to my husband and said, I'm still Zooming live. Can you be quiet, please? It's all right. I'm not going to worry about it. So the side effects. So does that create a person to start back when they don't need it? Or can it?
I would say so. It can, if you're not willing to kind of wait it out and wait out the side effects. And also, to be honest, ideally you should like wean off of it. You shouldn't quit cold turkey, which is what I did. So again, if you're working with like a licensed professional, okay, so the reason why I decided not to go through it, I guess the conventional safer way, is because my providers were not listening to me. I was telling them about how I was like sweating really excessively when I worked out. I would just be sweating for hours after a workout, because even though you're on an antidepressant, you need to be up on your lifestyle. Like you have to be on top of it. It's not a one size fits all like magic cure all pill. It's
Mhm.
supposed to kind of bring you to the space mentally where you're not feeling so down in the dumps that you can't get yourself up to the gym and go work
Right.
out. That's kind of it.
So
It's
it's
kind
really something to just help encourages you to get to where you really want to be and then
Yes,
wean yourself off.
it's a booster. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but I wasn't feeling supported or heard by like the staff that I was going to for my treatment.
Yeah.
So I just decided to stop going and just quit cold turkey.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like the only and I can't blame them. They're trained to give me this medication and just keep giving it to me. And again, I wasn't with like my PCP from back home. I was like on my own for the first time. A lot of like
Mhm.
confounding factors. Because like originally she had told me I was gonna be on them for a short time and then like we'd go off of them. But like in that time, I had big life changes. I graduated from undergrad. I started medical school and like 2 hours away from home. And
Yeah.
I just these are just things you pick up as you get older, like how to get like quality health care and stuff. And
Right.
I didn't know how to do that
So
basically.
it's so important for actually your family um, medicine doctor, healthcare provider, whoever is doing that, to listen,
Yeah.
to listen. So important to listen to your patient, and then weigh it out. Because if to see, like, I guess what I'm trying to say, listen to your patient and consider what they're saying. To say, okay, so tell me more, so you can know really how to manage their health care properly, because it's possible they probably know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely opens my eyes as well as a future healthcare provider
Absolutely.
to be really like astute to whatever my patients are telling me,
Yeah,
because
you know what my word is, right? I always say opportunity.
mm,
Mhm. Opportunity for you all
mhm.
to learn,
Yeah,
like, okay. I mean, you don't want it to happen like that, but actually experience
yeah,
helps you to be more open to your patients.
it
Right.
does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. This is good.
Yep.
Miriam,
Mhm.
you're going to be all right.
Thank you.
You're going to be just fine. Everything that's happened to you has been an experience for opportunity of growth for you to be more compassionate and have empathy towards people, learns to help you to have an ear to listen.
Yeah.
Um, Everything always works together for good. And so just having all of that will help you to even be a better person, and to tell someone when you'll be able to spot it in them. I don't think they really like to talk to people, and how you can just take inch by inch every time you see them to help them just to know it's good to have that safe place for real. And sometimes you have to find out, and that doesn't feel good either, that this is not a safe place. Okay, ouch. Oh, that hurt. And pick yourself up and keep it moving, and you
Yeah.
learn from it. And you sometimes you may have to forgive because maybe you thought a place was a safe place. So
Yeah.
forgiveness is very important so that you can move to the next place
Mhm.
and find and know where's that safe place for me.
Mhm. Yeah, you bring up a really great point. Actually, like right this morning, I watched your video about unforgiveness.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
and that's played a really big part in my healing process as well. Because sometimes it's just easier to feel angry than sad.
Yeah.
Because when you're sad, sometimes it just gets boring there, just laying around being down in the dumps. So you kind of start leaning on fury, and you start leaning on anger and discontent and skepticism and just being unhappy, but like with enraged. And, it feels better than being sad, but it's not a good place to exist in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I felt a lot of anger at like, the doctors, because they don't see a lot of not malaria, I'm sorry, they don't see a lot of sickle cell. So I'm like, they probably didn't know what they were doing because you just don't see it often. Well, let me not say they didn't know what they were doing. I'm sorry. I'm sure that they tried their best, but the treatment for sickle cell, I'm not sure is as good in areas where it's not endemic.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of a function of just
But
how the
still
world.
you had to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Still you had to deal with that. And that's good. What I mean by that is that, and I want to try to say this without exposing anything.
Mhm.
I had an incident that happened, and I thought if they wouldn't have never done this, or if they were aware of this, they wouldn't have never did this.
Yeah.
And so then it would have said that. And so, so you still have to deal with all those little entities. Is that okay to say? All these little bitty things to still get you to
Yeah.
wholeness. And then you have to realize what's important and what's not important. So I hear you, because that's still like if my sisters and if they would have been somewhere else where they know about sickle cell and seen it often in African Americans, then they would have been okay. And so you have to deal with that. That's still a part of wholeness and being well, to know that it was something that was allowed to happen, and it
Yeah.
happened. And when you're in the moment, you don't think like that. You're just trying to ration out everything and
Mhm.
trying to get, 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It
So
goes
you
along.
have to be able to go through those processes to healing.
Hmm.
And right, and lots of times get those answers, and sometimes if you didn't get an answer, to also resolve that in you. Is that really important to know? Because sometimes everything is important, but then when you start processing, you realize, then you start have to processing also is elimination. So then you have to also learn to eliminate things and learn to let go of things once you get to that point, because that's important too, to get there and go, okay, I need to eliminate this.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So yeah, so that's all a part of healing.
Mhm.
It's all a part of healing. That's why we have to allow ourselves to heal. It's just like surgery. You don't just get, at least I hope you don't get off the table and say, oh, I'm good, I'm going home right now. They just open up your heart,
Mhm.
It's healing. And oftentimes when they do surgery, sometimes you might have to have multiple surgeries. So you have to heal in order to have another surgery. And that's just how our lives are.
Yeah.
We get to this point, we're healing this area, then it's time to go to another area to
Mhm.
get through that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you use those examples, because just being in medicine kind of gives you uh, similes or like metaphors for life, honestly.
Mhm.
Like sometimes things have to get uglier before they get better, and that's
Wow.
an example of surgery. Like
It is.
expose your internal contents to the outside world, like something has to be seriously going awry in there. And even though like we've gotten so far in terms of reducing fatalities with just all of our medical advances,
Yes.
like it's still like a lot of okay, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes I think we diminish the seriousness of medical procedures, especially with anesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think, again, just kind of seeing these things firsthand, because my sister, she was 6. She went in for a craniotomy. So that means like she had a lot of swelling in her brain.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to like remove a flap of her skull so that her brain could like have some space to expand and not be smushed and damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, my mom believes that she passed away during that surgery. And I mean, she was intubated for a while after that.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially we were told that, like, you know, she could continue to persist like that, but that's not being alive. So I think it really influences like my drive to prevent illness. Because I mean, some illnesses are not preventable, like they're genetic, like sickle cell, like you're born with it, and sometimes it can be so mild that you know you live a relatively normal life. Other times it causes really early childhood mortality.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a society we're kind of buffered from how serious medical intervention can be.
Mm-hmm.
And that even if you're still technically alive, you're not ever going to be the same. So it's just a level of gravity that I've been exposed to. Sure. That I think is like, it's just really important to share with people when they don't take their health seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So again, I think that really inspires, you know, my journey today. Health is wealth. I know it's kind of like a cheesy saying, but
well,
you don't have anything if you're not well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah. Mentally, spiritually, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Whole.
Yeah.
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 It's true. You can't move forward. This has been good.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come back to Regina's Corner.
Huh?
You're going to have to come back to Regina's Corner. So we can sit down and talk about some other things. This has been really amazing.
Thank you.
It's been good.
I'm really glad that you approached me and that I felt safe enough to go through with it.
Yeah.
Because I do keep myself quite a bit. This is kind of the stuff that's swirling on in my head, and it's not really fodder for like elevator conversation per se.
Right. Absolutely. This is a sit down. That's why I said this is what corner. It's come and sit down. Let's sit. You know what I mean? And people don't know, because it was hard for me to name this channel. But it started out with medical students that are already residents. They are, I think they're probably going in their 3rd year residency. I think, or yeah, I think so. Yeah. And they would come and talk to me, or, you know, share whatever was going on with them. And we would always be sitting in the corner. And so they said, you should put something in the corner. And so I have, to this day, it's a frame, and it's something that was written actually by them. The they got to be 3rd year residency now, and they wanted me to put something there in the corner. And so I put about opportunity, and I also put their names at the bottom, some of their names, because they started that. And that's how Regina's Corner got started. And so when I thought about a name and I thought, oh, wow, that's kind of powerful, come to Regina's Corner. And one of my friends said, one of my sister friends from out of town, she says, well, a corner is humility. It's you come and you have these open chats and these conversations that, and I thought, wow, okay. So that's how Regina's Corner got started. Yeah, it's been good. I can tell that you're in a different place, and I'm so excited about that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you'll have many stories to tell people. It's okay if you need to take some time off. It's okay, you know, to get you together. So thank you. You're going to be excellent in the field of where, I don't know what you're going to practice, but wherever you are, whatever you're going to do, it's going to be excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, thank you for stopping by Regina's Corner, and please don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and hit the bell so that you'll know when we are uplifting another video. And again, Miriam, thank you. In closing, do you have anything you want to say in closing and ending this?
Every day when you wake up, think of 3 things that you're grateful for.
Wow.
My therapist taught me that one.
I love it.
Shout out to
me. I love it. I love it. So can you say goodbye to the YouTube in whatever language you want to?
I'll do it in multiple languages.
Yay! Okay, I'm ready.
Salama, Odabo, adios.
Adios. Bye-bye. See
Bye.
you soon. Bye. Don't forget to stop by my office
Yes.
whenever you're on campus. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye.